Ladies and gentlemen, MrCropper here. We're going to be doing some links that were sent to my Patreon, and I don't know exactly what the nature of all of them is, but to give you an example, MGTOW is among them. They don't necessarily all follow the MGTOW grain, whatever that is. We're going to get to those in just a minute. Right now I'm just resetting some factories on a game which is kind of fun and it's kind of frustrating. It's frustrating and designed to frustrate you so that you'll spend money on it, and I've avoided that, so it's taken me a year and a half to do what some people probably do on their first day if they pay money for the game. I don't know, but I just come in once or twice a day and reset these factories. So enjoy this and a little Room with a View. Do you know Room with a View is one of the best movies? The E.M. Forrester, the new one is so bad. The new one is so bad. Oh my god, the dialogue's been ruined. The actors are so bad. It's like it was infiltrated by communists and destroyed or something. It's the strangest thing in the world. Okay, we're gonna get everything here. Oh, we're supposed to do potatoes. Now, did I show you the things I sell? Look at the things I sell. Chocolate milk. Coal. A doll. A truckload of dolls that came from a factory. Mangoes. Now, I'm not selling these other things because I use them to produce stuff. All this stuff in here is to produce other stuff. Berries, cocoa beans, fish, fur, glue. I've run low on potatoes. Always low on potatoes because I have 4 starch factories, or 4 factories that can produce starch. Just some paper and some potatoes, and you're able to produce packaged starch. Now I apologize. I'm almost done with this. This is MrCropper's game streaming. Alright, well, this is World Tanks, I guess, but I don't take World Tanks seriously, and I only do this twice a day for about 5 minutes, so I don't take this seriously either. So enjoy MrCropper's game streaming while you can. This is really about it. Alright, that's it. Now I can come back in a couple hours and reset a few of these, but these ones up here are 6 hours away. 6 hours. And when I do reset these 2-hour ones, I'm going to reset them with either 6 or 12 hours. So that's my type of game. That's the type of game MrCropper goes for. Alright, where are we at? Let's do a new one here and just go to Patreon. I think I have it open in a window somewhere. 108 a month. What is that, 18% of the way to the goal. Okay. Let's see, where is it? I don't know how to get to, I don't understand my way around in here. Those are sent messages. Let's see. Do I have to click? Okay, let's see. Let's get this one. MGTOW. Copy. Alright, we're going to check this video out.
As someone who believes very strongly in free speech, I subscribe to Computing Forever's channel. He's the one who turned me on to my.com. Now, when you subscribe to somebody and then you go to your homepage, sometimes YouTube will recommend older videos from channels that you've only recently subscribed to. And as such, I was alerted to a video called MGTOW is Becoming Cult-like and Ideological. Now, this is from March of this year, so it's fairly old. I just didn't know about it. Nobody forwarded it to me. I haven't watched it. But as I started to watch it, I was like, okay, let me see what his point is. And wow.
Alright, so Turd Flinging Monkey is responding to this guy who says that MGTOW is becoming cult-like and ideological. Turd Flinging Monkey is going to tell us to go to Sandman if we want to know more about MGTOW. Sandman is like the kindergartner teacher of MGTOW. He posts simple, easy to digest videos on the subject every day. Now, what is MGTOW? I don't know. let's see how much of this video we
I
can
missed
do
it. And I'm not surprised. I mean, he's an egalitarian, so of course he's not going to understand
I'm
it.
going to skip forward a bit.
He's much more representative of what MGTOW is than Mayor of MGTOW or Sexy MGTOW. But of course, he doesn't give you those juicy sound bites, so you can just roundly criticize and denounce the entire group.
It's genuinely unsettling listening to him speak about this stuff.
Oh, fucking boo-hoo. Oh, I'm so unsettled. I'm triggered. What a pussy.
While the word misogyny is bandied around far too liberally by radical feminists nowadays, it actually applies to the mayor's video. He even...
Yeah, see what I'm saying? Oh, he's using women for sex. Oh, he hates women. Oh.
Alright, the mayor of MGTOW says that he just dates to get laid. He doesn't care about anything else. Now, it's because the women and the culture around him are so bad, right? So this is... I take MGTOW to be evidence of the destruction of our culture. And it's, there are certain men who try to have their heads on as straight as possible, work really hard to have them on straight, and one of the conclusions they come to is that women have been ruined by the philosophy around them. These MGTOW are not objectivists, but they can tell that feminism's wrecked the culture. So that's how what I take MGTOW to be. Objectivists are going to agree with a lot of what MGTOW say, but that's just because MGTOW is noticing how bad the culture is as part of their raison d'etre.
Want to have a deep relationship? Why don't you present an argument of what women actually bring to the table? Why don't you have a little chalkboard and write all the things down that a woman can do to enhance a man's life?
go so far...
See, that's a very strange statement he makes there. What can a woman do to enhance a man's life? How about complete it, right? How about offer the other half of his nature? Because man's nature is to pair up with a woman. Think of it this way, ladies and gentlemen. Every single human being alive on this planet today, every single one of them, had a father who quite liked to get into some vagina. Right? Is that true or not true? Every single person alive today had a father who liked to get him some vagina. Now, some of the people who are alive today don't really care about that. And I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, are they going to have children? Probably not. Some of them are going to do test tube babies. Yeah, okay, things can happen. But by and large, human beings reproduce by men who like them some vagina, getting some vagina from a woman who maybe doesn't want to give it up, right? And how do we get them to give it up? Flashy cars, houses, big income, boss people around, beat people up, rape them, right? There's lots of different ways to get into the vagina. You know, throughout history, there's lots of different ways, and it happens. Now, if you say, rape, MrCropper, that's terrible. What? Now, that just proves my point that the men who pass on their genes are the men who are interested in vaginas, highly interested in vaginas, okay? That just proves my point. So, that's just the background fact of mankind. The left will do anything to speak against anything that's real because they know that that's destructive of our society. So, they just promote anything that's unreal. That's just postmodernism.
To describe women as the enemy. How ideological can you get?
I don't hate women. I don't call women the enemy. In fact, I've said on numerous occasions, women aren't the problem. The system is the problem. But not everybody is so even-handed. You know, this video should have been called The Mayor of MGTOW is Ideological. Then I would have probably agreed with you. But your video is called MGTOW is Becoming Cult-Like and Ideological. And you use one video about one channel, which isn't even that big, to try to represent all of MGTOW.
Alright, now he goes through some statistics of Sandman has 60,000 subscribers, and this guy's picking on a channel with 1,000, and there's this other channel with 4,000 subscribers he mentions. But what about Sandman? Go to Sandman, he's got 60,000, you know? Talk to someone who's representative. Alright, we're going to skip that.
Attacking Sargon of Akkad as a Marxist, he's in the same community. He's in the same community as you. And yet you have these disagreements. Oh my gosh, why are you all being judged by the lowest common denominator of your community?
Now the MGTOW guy, he doesn't say very much more about Sargon of Akkad than that right there. But the MGTOW guy thinks Sargon of Akkad is allied with social justice warrior leftist ninnies, philosophically, as opposed to men going their own way who have their own ideological thing. separate from Sargon of Akkad and the establishment, which is very weird. Sargon of Akkad is anti-establishment, isn't he? So this just shows you that MGTOW is using a non-essential in our culture, which is the sexual relationship between men and women. It's a well, maybe I shouldn't say non-essential. They're taking a fact and elevating it to an essential, aren't they? That's really what they're doing. They're just saying the fact that sexual relations have been ruined by philosophy is our only concern in life. That's MGTOW. Okay? That's how I see MGTOW. Not that the concerns that they are talking about aren't valid. In fact, as an objectivist, when I'm discussing these things, MGTOW is my piece of evidence. I just say, well, look at MGTOW. Look at men going their own way. If you don't think that this is destructive of our culture, for women to try to behave like men and emulate men. It's just as bad as men trying to behave like women and emulate women. The sexes are separate and they have different roles and always have. And when they don't, then we have no-no land.
If Sargon of Akkad is a Marxist, well, obviously all anti-feminist skeptics are Marxist. All egalitarians are Marxist, because Sargon said something and he represents the entire community, right? Clearly not. So if you can understand that you and Sargon could have different views on things, even though you belong to the same community, why don't you pull your head out of your ass and realize that not all MGTOW agree on everything either? But no, we're just like the feminists. And the reason why you're saying that is because you're an egalitarian. Because feminists, since the third wave, have not been egalitarian, and because
better skip forward a ways here.
Parents have not been controlling their children, the child grows up to be a spoiled brat, it's the parent's fault. When you have societies throughout history have kept hypergamy in check through various laws and social customs, which have all been eroded in the name of equality and empowerment.
Alright, hypergamy is women's ability to have sex or sexual relationships with multiple partners. Now, it's a power that's unique to women, right? Men don't have this power because people don't want to have sex with men, right? Women have this power. So we do have a set of words for them, sluts and whores and things. And we're talking about women who cannot say no to a sexual advance. And the fact is that sexual advances are given to women pretty frequently. And some societies have gone nuts over this, and they lock women away and make them wear veils head to toe when they go in public, and they have to be with a relative, and they have to be with a relative to even leave the house, and they can only be seen by relatives. I mean, how insane is this getting in some cultures, or has it been for hundreds and hundreds of years? So it is just a fact of reality.
Give women rights.
I forgot exactly what I was saying about it. I'm just going to see what he was saying.
That was the problem. When we let them go buck wild. Societies throughout history have...
We've let women go buck wild.
Who opt out because they recognize how skewed the system is, but that's no reason to blame these issues on 51% of the Earth's population.
Okay, again, women aren't the problem. The system is the problem. And what am I talking about when I say the system? When we gave women rights, that was the problem. When we let them go buck wild.
When we gave them rights. Alright. Okay, so these are people who don't have philosophy. They're just reacting to the culture around them. And they look back in history and they say, well, if I trace it back, it all does start with giving them the vote. We could have just left them locked in the house. Alright? So, I'm going to tell you as an objectivist... Excuse me, I'll have to cough. I'm going to tell you as an objectivist that women are attractive to men. That's part of the reason that the human race exists. And the dynamic between men and women, women only being able to have 5 to 10 kids maximum in their lifetime, and men being able to sire 1,000 or more if they were able. The dynamic between them is the whole game of love. Okay? Women are very guarded about how many commitments they make because they don't get to make very many. And once they've made a commitment, it's really obvious in public that they've made a commitment to a guy, right? Men are not so worried about it. They can make a quote-unquote commitment by sleeping with a woman, a different woman every single day. Genghis Khan did that, right? He had many, many, many babies by that method. So, the story of the interaction of those facts is the story of love among humans. Now, to respond to this by saying we should not have given women the right to vote, we should lock them back up in the kitchen, and all our problems started there, it just shows that he's looking at non-essentials. He's looking at the fact that women, he is bothered by women's behavior. Now, I say we're going to put that down to postmodernism, nihilism, the destruction of our culture. But he's going to put it down to giving women the vote. So he doesn't have philosophy. So that's the problem with MGTOW, is they're trying to think about the culture around them, and they're not going to be able to do it without philosophy. They're fine. Let them do it. I'm not trying to stop them. Let them try their thing. They're just not going to get anything solid, and people are going to tear their system apart intellectually if they ever try to establish anything, if they don't get their basic philosophy down. Because look at this confusion right here. Women are running around. We've let them go wild. They sleep with everybody. They're on birth control, and it's not illegal. It's not even looked down upon by society. And therefore, it would be better if we never gave women the vote. You see? That's strange, dangerous, and
Societies
bizarre.
throughout history have kept hypergamy in check through various laws and social customs, which have all been eroded in the name of equality and empowering and liberating women. They're all gone. And now you see the consequences of this.
So we have to keep hypergamy in check. Now, he says every society in history's had a way of keeping hypergamy in check. Right? Women sleeping with multiple men. I guess that's the meaning of it. Hyper, meaning many, many. Is that what it is? Okay. Rome fell, right? And hypergamy was a thing then. In the baths at Rome, there were scandals because they had mixed baths. And that didn't go on for too many decades before they shut those down and went back to the old system of sex-separated baths. So let's see. I don't know what to say necessarily about it. Besides, that's not an essential. You can't measure the rise and fall of civilization based on the promiscuity of women. What would this guy say to the ancient Greeks who worshipped nudity? What would MGTOW say to that? I mean, they kept women locked at home, right? Women weren't even allowed at the Olympic Games because there was nudity there. But I wonder what he would say to the view of nudity in the ancient world. Just wondering. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have a philosophy. He's just reacting to the culture around him. Alright, I'm going to skip forward a bit.
And every argument you can throw at MGTOW's feet about how ideological and cult-like we are, it can be turned around and thrown right back in your face. Because your community is just like ours. Just like feminism. It's actually a lot closer to feminism than you care to admit, but what are you going to do?
Alright, so you guys are just like us. He's right. He's right. There's not really a philosophical difference between MGTOW and any other, floaty surface movement that doesn't have deep philosophy, and they're just reacting to the culture around them, and they're just going to be poofed away by the next turn of history.
All the rights women have, all the power women have to destroy men's lives, for them to say they're living in a patriarchy is absurd. Meanwhile, when MGTOW warn men about female nature, about the hypergamous instinct, which is real and demonstrable, they're the same thing. Same thing. Talking about human nature is just like arguing for a non-existent opposite-day patriarchy.
Now, he mentions that women ally with men going their own way once in a while. And he doesn't really care for that too much. Because he says, okay, well, now that men are turning and walking away and saying this is a bunch of bullshit, some of the women are chasing after them saying, yes, it is bullshit. Yes, please, help us, support us, let us stay with you, please. Let us, be your woman. It is all bullshit. And he says that's just another woman doing the thing that women do, which is get support from men. That's just what women do. Even the ones that are coming and supporting men going their own way are still just being whatever it is, blood-sucking women or something like that. He doesn't say blood-sucking women, but see, this is he's allowed it to get into his philosophy, hasn't he? He's allowed it to become his philosophy, hasn't he? The war between men and women. Now, the communists, of course, their nation disappeared, but they sowed the seeds of this garbage back in the 60s and 70s when they came here and gave suitcases full of money to college professors to teach garbage ideas. So we're paying for that now. Well, I sure wish we would have had the McCarthy era go on for a couple more decades and set some things in place, but we took McCarthy out, and then communists infiltrated everything, didn't they? And so now our culture is dealing with that. Now, a bit of social justice warrior nonsense every day is going to give people the wherewithal to question this stuff. And our colleges are falling apart. That's becoming too obvious for even the common man to ignore. And a bit of Jordan Peterson around the place and things like this will turn the culture back in a different direction. Now, I'm not saying Jordan Peterson's the Messiah. Jordan Peterson really wouldn't have as much to work with if Ayn Rand hadn't been running around for decades before him, right? He wouldn't have anybody to talk to. He doesn't have anybody on the left to talk to, and if all he had was people from the left, he would simply be in jail. He just would not have any friends. So the only reason he has anything to say is because of Ayn Rand's legacy. But that is the direction of change we need to move in. Men going their own way is just thrashing around in the immediate culture. And when I say thrashing around, I mean it's action, but it's not purposeful and it's not in a given direction. And they're fighting back. I cheer as much as the next guy when you punch a bad guy in the face. Okay, yeah, fight back, guys. Keep fighting. I'm not going to try to stop you. I'm just saying, if the MGTOW ever want to get their shit together, they're going to have to become objectivists, or they're going to have to read Ayn Rand's philosophy and realize that they need a deeper base than just the fact that women suck nowadays.
Same thing.
Let's go forward a bit here.
Life is over. Because you're going to be paying alimony the rest of your life. You're going to be in baby jail for 20 years, paying child support. She might give you an STD, and you might die from it. I mean, you don't know. But, you just got to keep trying. She's out there, buddy.
Successful. You know who else indulges in this solipsistic thinking? Overweight, body-positive radical feminists who...
So I actually did an older video about this called TFM's Guide to Sexual Entitlement, where I compare these nice guys to overweight women, because they both feel entitled to people outside of their league. None of this really has to do with MGTOW. Nothing he's talking about. So this video...
All right, they're just quarreling. I'm trying to get things about MGTOW that I can say.
Because they can't attract men. MGTOW don't care. There are very attractive men in MGTOW who can get all... If men find it attractive, it's objectification. If men find it repulsive, it's empowerment. It's all about how men perceive them. Fat-shaming feminists care deeply about what men think of them. If men found fat attractive, they would be the happiest women in the world. The whole reason they are fat...
That is a funny thing about the feminists, right? They're obsessed with men and the patriarchy and stuff. And they should be. Because without it, they would be out in the wild on their own. Like somebody said to a feminist one day, said, well, of course, like one feminist said to another, of course, this is, our society was built by men. Look at all the buildings around us. Point to one of them that women built. Of course, men built everything. Okay? So if you're fighting the biggest thing in your vision, then women are going to be fighting men. And if Marxism has made class warfare a thing in their mind, then they're going to turn to the biggest institution, and that's men. And what's funny about it is that they're doing their little thing in college classrooms and on street corners, while men go on running power plants, building roads, building new buildings, mining coal. Okay, there's some women who drive some of the trucks in the coal mines, blah, blah, blah. So my point is that it's a men's society, it's run by men, and to the extent that these feminists are running around thinking they're going to change something, they are underneath the umbrella of the patriarchy that they so despise. And it's not a patriarchy, it's just human civilization. It's just civilization. And most of these buildings built around us were built either to house the females or to impress the females in order to get a higher quality or better female in some measurement. So if you want to look at society that way, it is a worship of women. Every building is worshiping women at the end of the day. But these guys are reacting to the real culture. They just don't have philosophy to do it with.
In the Met.
Alright, I'll tell you what it means. It's going to destroy society, not because MGTOW did anything. MGTOW were trying to survive. Other men can sacrifice themselves to keep society chugging along. But MGTOW see the game. It's inevitable. Society is going to collapse. It's already happening. MGTOW's only like, what, 100,000 people? But let's say there are 1 million men. That's nothing. 1 million men in a country of billions is not going to make a difference. Because even if 1 million men dropped out, stopped having families, stopped having relationships, men can impregnate many women. There would be many men who would be more than happy to pick up the slack of the 1 million MGTOW who dropped out of society. So, if MGTOW isn't the problem, why are the fertility rates so low? Why are Western countries slowly dying and being replaced by Muslims and immigrants? It's not MGTOW. MGTOW is a symptom. It's a symptom of the gynocentric society, which is dying, and it's inevitable. The only difference between MGTOW and people like you is we've accepted that this is inevitable, and now we're just trying to survive. We don't want to be...
So MGTOW have given up. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. MGTOW have given up. Alright. Their philosophy is zero. They don't have a philosophy. They're fighting back against real problems in a real culture, but they have no philosophy. Okay, I was going to look at more things. I didn't know it was going to take us that long to get through that video. I'll have to go back to the Patreon thing and look at more stuff that this gentleman sent me. Thank you for patronizing me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you support what I do, please add to my Patreon, $5 or $10 a month. If we can get enough of you there, I can make this a regular thing. Thank you. MrCropper out.